Freemasons have lost so much knowledge over the centuries. The lower degrees of Freemasonry and other secret societies have no idea of how fascinating their craft is, and it is very likely that the upper degrees have also lost much of their past knowledge. I remember when my father died in 1962 that the Right Worshipful Master and officers of his lodge walked round his grave 3 times. That is diesel or sunwise, an ancient custom. I recently asked at a Masonic funeral why they did not do that anymore and was met with blank stares. In a few decades, even this simple but important ritual has been lost. This presentation is not a conspiracy against any secret society. In fact, it is intended to show everyone, especially Freemasons and Knights Templar, just how much sacred knowledge they have had and how interesting and important it has been to our society in the past and, hopefully, in the future. This is Drummond Castle near Crieff, Perthshire, Scotland. The masons who designed and built it carefully chose this location, on top of a volcanic dike. This is one of the most important of my discoveries, as I have found in my research that all of the most powerful sites, like castles, cathedrals, churches, abbeys, ancient burial grounds and palaces, were placed on top of or between volcanic anomalies like volcanic plugs and extinct volcanoes, using the energies these huge emitters of natural energy spray out like the spokes of a bicycle wheel. This is a volcanic dike, just a few hundred yards away from the one Drummond Castle sits upon. It is composed of a quartz dolerite rock formed some 292 million years ago when an earthquake split the ground open and lava welled up to the surface. In the grounds of this castle is this fascinating sundial and this triptych full of pure white quartzite. Drummond Castle to the left is on top of the volcanic dike, with its road leading to the east also on top of the dike. It carries on for a few miles, then veers off, but you can see the Drummond graveyard at Donaghmill also placed on top of the dike, with the waterfall tumbling over. Notice also the Crieff road, a long straight road. This is on another ley line. To the west, there are 2 standing stones picking up the subterranean energy and transmitting it above ground in another direction, from experience, probably to a distant burial ground. The Muthil Crieff road is also on a ley line, and it can be found carrying on roughly northwards through Ochtertyre burial ground, itself placed on top of the Highland boundary fault, and onto its source, a small stone circle near Auchnafree, all in a perfectly straight line. The nearby town of Crieff was built by the same masons who built the castle, building the main streets as a right-angled triangle, with the rest of the town laid out in the form of a 6-pointed star. This has already been shown in another presentation, but here I will concentrate on the right-angled triangle of main streets. This is an enlarged view of these streets. Notice the square to the right and to the left, Burrell Square. This is actually in the shape of an octagon. Here you can see that the main streets have been placed in line with these energies from volcanic plugs. King Street takes its energies from Dumbarton Castle, the ancient seat of the kings, and Burrell Street from the volcanic plug of Stirling Castle. The West High Street is lined up with a 4-stone circle on top of a volcanic Pluton to the west. A Pluton is a volcano which never quite erupted. This is Brayford, the stone circle. There is only 1 stone remaining. To the east, Dunning Church. This is St Michael's Church at the centre of the 6-pointed star, and now looking up Burrell Street to the church. and King Street to St Michael's Church. To further show that there are powerful designs behind the landscape, this is the right-angled triangle of the capital cities of the UK, discovered by Robin Heath and mentioned in his book PowerPoint. The new Scottish Parliament has been carefully placed between the volcanic plugs of Carlton Hill and Arthur's Seat. For over 60 years I have been visiting the local graveyard here in Crieff and often idly wondered what these two strange pillars were for. Only recently, with the help of two of my psychic friends, did I realise that the horizontal slab had been removed many years ago. Now the scene is opening out. It is a Masonic triptych, and if you look through the main arch, you will see a fleur-de-lys fountain, with its 3 Egyptian abbess birds, one looking down, the next looking further up, and the third looking further up still, with the dove of peace, its beak pointing in ecstasy to the heavens. This is nothing less than the ascension of the human spirit. Most people nowadays do not believe in spirits, but our ancestors did, and worshipped them, feared them, and used them for the benefit of their progeny. This knowledge has long been lost to us, but is still to be found in the landscape. Around this fountain there are 12 kirbs, each one hosting its own gravestone. 12, that is, 12 months of the year, tribes of Israel, nights of the round table, the warrior fingers nights, hours of the morning and afternoon, inches in the foot, etc. The large obelisk to the right of the picture is a typical example of the important people buried here. This is the last resting place of Mr. Robertson, first and foremost Governor of the National Bank of England. The kerb around the fountain is 33 inches from the base. So far, so good. Most of this is easily verified, but now we are going into the realms of the spirit world. In my research following the ley lines of energy across Scotland, I have been using divining rods to follow them, the same method by which our ancestors located and manipulated them. Shunned by scientists in the past, as most scientists do not realise that the simple tools a diviner uses are connected to the most sophisticated computer in the world, the human brain. They are nevertheless gradually gaining acceptance. These are simple angle rods, lengths of wire with one end bent over to an angle, with which you can easily pick up any of these energies. And if you have the strength and willpower, you can follow them across country to locate other ancient sites on the line. This illustration shows the form, the waves of energy a standing stone emits, just like a prism, only instead of light it is the natural telluric energy from the fault or underground stream it sits upon. I was flabbergasted one day when I went to a local burial ground and discovered that I could easily find what I can only call spirit lines of energy from each grave. Now, this is a long story which you will be able to find in my books. Suffice it to say that from these 12 graves, allocated to the most important people in the town at the time the graveyard was initiated, I found a double spiral of waves from each, one negative, the other positive, and they are attracted into the hollow cavity of the fountain, then spiral out to a very strange pure white pink quartzite memorial stone a short distance away. The quartzite in this memorial cleans up much of the energies and again, just like a prism, transmits a wide stream of ley energy which automatically seeks the highest hill in the vicinity, in this case the Knock behind Crieff. Passing through, as it does so, the famous Morrison's Academy and the Hydropathic Hotel. I was stunned when I had a closer look at the memorial. It was dedicated to Dr. Meikle, who built the Hydropathic. From the opposite flat face of this memorial, I followed another wide ley stream a short distance through the grave with a Celtic cross on top, only to discover that this was Dr. Meikle's grave, quite astonishing. After a short distance, the wide Ley stream curves round to earth itself in the attractive location of Drummond Castle, on its volcanic plug about 2 miles away. As you can see in this picture, the wide Ley stream has been cleaned up of any malevolent energies by the close-fitting quartzite blocks facing the back of the castle. This picture shows only the western side of several hundred metres of carefully carved quartzite boulders. This is another Masonic triptych, this time Perth's Town Hall. At the time of this presentation, it may have to be pulled down for various reasons. Both of these Masonic buildings, this one and the one in Crease Cemetery, have been carefully aligned north to south. As you can see, triptychs have come down to us over the centuries. This is Christ's Last Supper with a triptych in the background. Notice the right-angled triangle between Christ and the disciple on his right. This is the basic illustration of the original triptych model. It was originally intended to tell when the spring and winter solstices occur. Turning now to the Federal Triangle in USA, carefully and geometrically designed by Pierre L'Enfant, you will notice the right-angled triangle of famous streets, with Pennsylvania Avenue in line with no less than 3 very powerful volcanic anomalies: an extinct volcano on the Azores, and Bear Butte and Devil's Tower, both volcanic plugs. The sun sets directly in line with this avenue in mid-August, with the right-angled constellation of Virgo behind it. You can also see the Robert F. Kennedy Stadium in line with the bottom street, surely the nearest humans can get to a volcano. This triangle of streets was placed in a place called Foggy Bottom, a malaria-ridden swamp, but its location between these volcanic anomalies meant it could only be placed there, a place of power. Many water fountains and features to transmit their healthy negative ions, perhaps being carried down by the stream of Ley energy. Scotland's capital city, Edinburgh, is also another very powerful place. The 3 main streets are in line with 3 volcanic plugs. To the east there is North Berwick Law, then Carlton Hill in Edinburgh, and to the southwest the famous Giant's Causeway in Ireland. There are 9 major banks on the main streets, with many other famous institutions. There is also St Andrew's Square, designed as the all-seeing eye of the ancient Egyptians. To prove my point that our ancestors have been using these energies from volcanic plugs, you can see here that the intersecting path running diagonally across the screen is lined up with these 3 anomalies. But the horizontal path is lined up with the palace side of Edinburgh Castle on its plug and the strange volcanic rock and pillar of St Andrews, well to the northeast. It is beyond any doubt now that ley lines do exist and have been used by our ancestors for thousands of years. This book describes several decades of following some of the ley lines across Scotland on foot, showing their very peculiar qualities, plus chapters on paranormal phenomena which may well be associated with this type of energy. My latest book, Ley Lines of the UK and the USA, describes many more lines of sacred sites lined up with volcanic anomalies. No one can now seriously deny the existence of these sacred pathways, long despised by academics, who are now going to have to try and understand them. For more information, see this YouTube presentation.